So is the presentation visible?
Yes, Sathya Keerthi.
Oh. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sathya Keerthi. So today I'll be discussing about my project. So my topic was modernizing Indian dishes, elevating them to Michelin Star Standards while preserving their indigenous integrity and creating an automated system for effective storing, updating, and retrieving of these dishes. So before I start, I want to start off with a word of caution. This presentation is not going to dive deep into every single thing I did because that is not my goal in 10 minutes. My goal in 10 to 15 minutes is to effectively portray to you all what all I've done in a nutshell so that you have a brief understanding of what all I've done, my research methods, my conclusion, and just for you to have an overall idea about what I've done. So let's start off with a concise review of literature. So going into the topic, the first question that comes to our mind is what is Michelin, right? Because I've started speaking about Michelin stars, but it's important we understand what is Michelin. The most basic answer, Michelin is a tire company. So it was started by two brothers in France in the 1900s. They started manufacturing tires. So that's how they got into the business. Next question, how did they get into evaluating restaurants? Because I just told they're a tire company, and what do they have to do with restaurants? So the brief history about this was they started producing a guide, a small red color book, which was given out to travelers in France during the 1900s. Because at that time there were not many petrol stations and there were very few cars. Many few people only had cars. So they gave out these guides with information on where to get petrol, where they can take rest, and all those things. So what they started doing was they started including restaurants in their guides in the hopes that people will, travel to this restaurant and wear out their tires quickly so that they will come and replace their tires. So if you think about it, this blew me away because one of the highest prestigious awards a restaurant can receive today was invented on the basis of increasing their tire sales. So that is a big fact that I came across. I wanted to share that. Moving on, different types of Michelin awards. As you can see here, there's a 1, 2, and 3 star, or even a 0 star. So 1 star is high cooking quality, worth a stop. 2 stars is excellent cooking, worth a detour, and 3 stars is exceptional cuisine, worth a special journey. So moving on, I did a lot of research to come up with these six criteria over here because when I started thinking about how do I take a common Indian dish and elevate it to Michelin star standards, I first have to define what that standard is, right? I have to define what it is I have to do to a dish for it to be called a Michelin star dish. Without me telling that, there is no point in me trying to elevate a dish. So after a lot of research, I came across these six principles. These were taken from official Michelin articles as well as a bunch of other sources, which I believe effectively portray what all a dish must have for it to be considered a Michelin star dish. So the quality of ingredients used, mastery of flavor and cooking techniques, the personality of chef in his cuisine, value for money, consistency between visits, and emotion. Moving on, I did a lot of case studies and I actually spoke with a chef as well. I spoke with a chef called Parag Kapile. He works in Australia under a Michelin star chef. So I spoke with him as well over LinkedIn and asked him, what do you think, chef, constitutes a Michelin star dish? And after a lot of research, I came up with these six points over here. So this might be intriguing over here. There's a cloud over here that says Miyazaki mango example. This is an interesting example I wanted to quote because an anonymous Michelin inspector was asked, what is your favorite dish you've had until today? So after dining in over 300 Michelin star restaurants, what is your favorite dish? And he said, my favorite dish was a piece of sliced mango in a tempura restaurant in Tokyo. He said, yes, I've had so many dishes in my life, but my favorite is just 4 pieces of sliced mango on a white plate. And he says the reason behind that was because the mango was in so prime of its season, it was tasting so much like a mango. He said the temperature in which it was served, its flavor was so much of mango. It was served at the right time of the season, and it was served at the right time of a meal. After a very oily meal, he was served a sweet and acidic mango. So he goes on to say a chef's quality and a chef's talent is not how many cuisines he knows or how well he cooks. It's about how he knows to use his ingredients and effectively portray them. So moving on, research gap and objectives. So research gap, very simple. There's no documented work about Michelin and Indian gastronomy until now. And to understand if a Michelin framework could be devised for Indian dishes to elevate them to that standards. My objectives to understand Indian culinary traditions in a concise manner, to create a Michelin star Indian tasting menu, and to effectively share the recipes devised through the creation of a website. So moving on to understanding Indian gastronomy. So my goal was to elevate Indian dishes to Michelin star standards, right? If I was to do that, I have to first understand about Indian cuisine. Without even understanding about cuisine, I can't jump into the task of elevating those dishes, right? And like any cuisine, even more so with Indian, it is impossible to understand the entire cuisine in one go. You cannot do that because it's always going to be something new. But what you can do is, and what I've done here is to concisely try and understand a brief about Indian cuisine. So I've divided it into 10 different aspects, which I believe encompass most of Indian cuisine. I'm saying most because it is again impossible to learn everything about cuisine. The ones in purple are the ones that are really important. And for example, spices, space, and spice mixtures. That was my first research topic. I dive deep into different types of spices in Indian cuisine, how they grow, and everything. And this is a simple experiment I did. So I took a garam masala, I formulated a recipe, I made a garam masala one day, and then I stored it in an airtight container and left it to rest for one day. Then I made the same recipe fresh another day, and then I got a packaged version of the garam masala, and I gave all these three samples to taste to find out what is more effective. Do people like freshly ground spices, or do people like packaged spices? So these were a lot of experiments I've done on each of these 10 aspects, and this is just a small picture. You can see one day rested garam masala, freshly ground garam masala, packaged garam masala. Everything was served on a boiled potato because I thought that was a neutral catalyst, which can, only the garam masala flavor will come. So like this, I've done an experiments on all these 10 things. And moving on to menu engineering. So after understanding the six factors that we saw earlier about Michelin, there were a few things I had to incorporate into every single dish in my menu that I was about to create. And these seven things were the following things that I tried to incorporate into every single dish of mine. So to use seasonal produce, to adhere to traditional culinary techniques. So if an appam requires an appam chatti, you use an appam chatti. You don't use another non-stick skillet because then it won't be called an appam. If you need to grind your peppercorns with a pestle and mortar, you use a pestle and mortar. You don't use a blender. So I've tried to adhere to traditional culinary techniques wherever I can, ensuring harmony of flavors, perhaps the most important one, because the last thing you want is to have 10 flavors on a plate and finally not being an enjoyable experience. To retain authenticity of the recipes, I wanted to try to modernize Indian recipes, but not modernize them too much so that they're not even Indian anymore, right? You have to retain the authenticity and bringing out my personality as a chef. Whatever I want to do in my food, I had to bring out my personality because that is the only way my food will be unique. Otherwise, if I make a dosa, he makes a dosa, both of us make dosas. It's nothing new. But if I try to get out some personality of mine, so I am into modern cooking techniques. I'm into different types of garnishes and platings, and I like to experiment with various flavors and new ingredients. So I try to bring out my personality across most of the dishes possible. And consistency in production, I couldn't sell it to people over and over again and ensure consistency. But what I could do was retest my recipes after documenting to ensure I get the same product over and over again with the same result to ensure consistency. Emotion and memory. So every dish I've included some small story of mine, a little memory or some emotion I have attached to that dish, so that when you serve it to the guest, the service people, they tell the story behind the dish. So it's not just a plate of food. There's an associated memory that the guest can associate it with and enjoy it better. So moving on, I created an 18 course Michelin star Indian tasting menu. So I'm a vegetarian at home, so I couldn't really use non-vegetarian produce. So I made an entire vegetarian menu. I took it up as a challenge actually. Initially, I thought I'll go to my friend's house and try the non-veg dishes, but then I thought, being the pandemic, so many people are unable to procure meats. So why not prove to the world that a vegetarian Indian Michelin star tasting menu is possible, and it will be really sumptuous as well. So this was the menu I came up with. I'll just briefly read through the dish names. So we start with a welcome drink of mango thandai, drumstick shorba, the soup, ajwain bhatura with tea infused nilgiri chana, coconut and mint rice with shahi aloo pave, appam with kumbakonam kadappa, green salad sushi, varekai polichadum, tandoori naan with dal makhni, beetroot shrikhand, manga sadam with jackfruit seed kurtu, akki roti with mint citrus chutney, java plum lassi with bittersweet jaggery caramel, paneer kurkure, Warki paratha with Rajbog korma, a walk in the autumn garden. So that's basically a combination of puff pastry, mango and muskmelon mousse, smoked chocolate ice cream, almond brittle and plum compote. I named it so because the puff pastry was to resemble the autumn leaves that are crackling, and the muskmelon mango signify the starting of spring and fresh fruits. So I named it a walk in the autumn garden. Moving on, Malpua Rabdi, Irani Chai, and Gulab Pan. So these are a few of the dishes. So each of these dishes I made from scratch, I devised a new recipe for each of them, method of preparation, everything is included in my project. And these are a few of the pictures of the dishes I've made. Starting from the left top, this is the mango rice, this is the mango thandai, this is the walk in the autumn garden. This is the beetroot shrikhand on gaver. This is barekai polichade. This is waki paratha with rajbog korma. This is the malpua rabdi, tandoori naan and dal makhani. This is the coconut and mint rice with shahi aloo pave, and the paneer kurkure. So one interesting thing I would like to note over here is this the coconut and mint rice with shahi aloo pave. So potato pave is actually a French dish where potatoes sliced into thin roundels and immersed in cream, and then it's layered in a bread tin and baked, then removed, set in the fridge, cut into rectangles, and then shallow fried. So it's like a layered potato preparation. Since I am into modern cuisine and trying to modernize things as much as possible, I thought, why not make that Indian, right? So instead of the cream mixture, there's shahi mixture that I made with onion, tomato, cashew nuts. So it's the same principle. The fundamental is the same of layering potatoes and shallow frying them. But instead of cream and herbs, there's a shahi gravy in between each layer. So this was an example of me trying to bring out my personality in a dish. Moving on, after I've created an 18 course tasting menu, I moved on to the market survey. So my sample space was 160, and I used Google Forms. So six basic questions I've tried to ask, and I've highlighted three of them in green because these are the only ones we'll be discussing here. Because the other ones are just good to know but not very important. So the first question that's very important is, do you know what or who Michelin is? So I had to ask people if they knew what Michelin was. Only then they'll be able to understand the menu and then judge the menu. If they don't know what Michelin is, there's no point. So as you can see, 66% people said yes, they knew about Michelin, and 34 said they did not know what Michelin was. Might seem like a good number, but considering your sample size itself is 160, this, according to me, is a very small number. I would have hoped that more people knew about what Michelin was. And then it was on a scale of 1 to 4, how interested or excited are you to taste the menu? So I had the pictures of my menu, and they asked if they were tasted in eating my menu or no. And about 40% said they were somewhat interested, and 49.4 said they were very much interested. So approximately 89 to 90% of people were interested in tasting the menu. So that was a good note. And then, how much money are you willing to pay for the entire 18 course menu mentioned above? So these were the options, starting from ranges of 1,000 to 2,500, all the way to more than 15,000. So I calculated the weighted average for the lower and upper limits, and I got to this average value. So people were willing to pay anywhere between 3,900 and 6,100 rupees. So this might seem like a lot when compared to the other restaurants we dine in, but let's take compare it with another Indian Michelin star restaurant in New York, Junoon, which serves an 8 course menu for $135 or 10,000 rupees. So if an 8 course menu is being served for at 10,000, an 18 course should be at least double, right? And over here we can see that's not the case. So the menu has been greatly undervalued. So few possible reasons that I came up with are: number one, lower disposable incomes. India is still a developing country, so spending on luxurious food is not an option for many people. Then food is eaten to satisfy hunger. So most of the population in India, they eat food to fill their stomach and start their work. It's not like they want to sit and look at the art or look at the work that goes behind every dish. That's not how we've been brought up. Food is like God for us. We just eat it, respect it, and move. So the fact of sitting and tasting 18 courses is not something people are used to. And then unawareness of Michelin dining nuances. So we saw not many people know what Michelin. So if they don't know what Michelin is, they don't know what Michelin restaurants are. And they don't know the associated hype, the quality, the nuances. So they're unable to appreciate it and pay for that menu, right? So these are a few reasons why the menu has been undervalued. Moving on to the hypothesis testing. So my null hypothesis was respondents who were aware of Michelin star restaurants and were not interested in tasting the 18 course menu. So I'll briefly explain this. Okay, I don't want to go into detail. I've taken two questions and I've done a cross tabulation. First question was, are you aware of Michelin star restaurants? And the second question was, how interested are you in tasting the 18 course menu? So the reason why I did this is because if a person does not know what a Michelin star restaurant is, he will obviously not be able to understand the idea behind the 18 course menu. So if you take a common man in Chennai and ask him, are you interested in eating this 18 course menu? He will say, why do you give me so much? Just give me that appam and I'm done with my dinner. Because that is the mentality, right? Who will want to sit and eat 18 courses? On the other hand, if a person is aware of what a Michelin star restaurant is, he will be able to appreciate the 18 course menu. Like, okay, wow, you've got dishes from all across the country, from every state. So then they will be able to appreciate it. Hence, I've taken the cross tabulation. So I've taken all the people who were aware of Michelin star restaurants, and out of those people, I have calculated how many are interested to eat my menu. So I've reached at a value of 92% people. So 92% of people who knew what Michelin star restaurants were also interested in tasting my menu. So that is a good sign. So my level of significance was at 8%. So this means that if I took 100 people, I asked them the same question, 8 people will say, I am not interested. Clearly over here, 92, more than 92% are interested. Hence, the null hypothesis was rejected and the alternate hypothesis was accepted. This goes on to show that those who know what Michelin restaurants are were interested in tasting my menu. So that's a good sign, which means I've done something right with the menu. I've made it appealing. So the next, final aspect of my project was to create a website because I wanted to share these recipes. As a good chef is somebody who always tries to share his recipes so that other people can also do it, right? So these were a few basic processes that I used. I used Wix.com to create my website. As of now, it's live and you can find all the official recipes with the pictures of every dish that I've made. So a few basic points: choosing appropriate keywords, choosing a homepage design, editing various sections. Just wanted to let you know the various procedures I followed to create my website. So this is what my website looks like. You can access it with the following link. So this is the home page, and as you can see, the recipe picture is here. You click on it, and it will give you the ingredients and method of preparation for every single dish, and a few other pages as well. So finally, conclusion. I wanted to keep this very crisp as well. So first, not many people are aware about Michelin, like we saw. And although a good number of people were aware about Michelin star restaurants, this number is quite unsatisfactory. I hope more people in India come to know about Michelin. And only a marginal portion had actually dined at a Michelin star restaurant. So not many had actually sat at a Michelin star restaurant to understand what all go through during service. And most respondents were interested in tasting the 18 course menu, like we saw, which is a good sign. And the menu was greatly undervalued, and most people are fine with modernizing Indian food as long as the recipe stayed true to its roots. So this was a question I asked in the questionnaire about, are you okay with me modernizing Indian food? So most people said yes, I am okay, but stay true to the recipes. This shows that they are, they want to conserve their Indian traditions and roots. That's a good thing. And finally, I ended with a note of, is Michelin really worth the hype? So this was a question I also asked the chef Parag Kapile, who I interviewed, and even he said the same thing. He said Michelin should not be something a chef goes towards. A chef must do what he likes, must do what he's passionate about, and must ensure he gets himself on the plate to the best way possible. Michelin stars will be a result of that. If you go behind Michelin stars, you won't get it. You go behind creating good food and giving a memorable dining experience to your guests, and Michelin will automatically come. So that is where I end saying, if you want to get Michelin to India, well and good. You have to start focus more on storytelling, explain to the Indian population what Michelin star is, what the dining is, so that they want to pay more money. You have to stay true to the recipes, traditions, and ultimately you have to give a good plate of food and something that they remember for a long time. That is what Michelin is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Sathya Keerthi. I know the your hard work behind it. You put your heart and soul into this topic, and also I appreciate that you finished your presentation, your message within time. So that also I
Thank you, sir.
appreciate. But again, the same question I would like to repeat here is how you justify that the topic chosen by you is futuristic.
Yes, definitely, sir. So as of now, if we see, there is no Michelin in India. If you see Michelin star Indian cuisine, it will revert you back to UK and US because most Indian chefs have gone and settled in UK and have settled in the US and have started their Michelin star restaurants because people over here are unaware about it. So if in the future we are in a position to tell our people saying, because we are a developing country, people are moving towards these kind of foods slowly. Although it's a very small amount of the population, people are still focusing, especially celebrities. They like to go to these hi-fi events and have food. So if we are in a chance to get Michelin to India and say we can have Michelin star restaurants in our country as well, I believe it will be a very successful venture for many chefs across the country, and it will give us a very good forum to show our food to the world because India's population is 1 billion, 1/7 of the world, but still Indian cuisine is not that popular. Indian cuisine in US is oily, greasy food, spicy food. They don't know what Indian food is because they don't have the ingredients or they don't have the expertise to do it. But if Michelin comes to India, I feel that will be a benchmark for the entire world to know what Indian cuisine is capable of. So I think that's something we can work in the future towards.
Yes, very good, Satyakirti. Thank you. Chef Rajshekhar, any question for
Thank,
Satyakirti?
yeah. Thank you, Satya. It's a wonderful presentation. I
Thank you,
know
sir.
each and every dish you made personally, and you have tested me, you have shown me the thing. But only one thing in the slides, you would have made all products one small video, maybe 10 seconds of video, what you made,
Yes,
because the
sir.
guest will be coming to know, yes, he made personally and he showed, he put lots of effort on it. Just you put one picture in the one slide and you just explain. But
Yes,
same
sir.
thing, maybe 2 minutes of one small video or 1.5 minutes, something like that, on small video, how you made it, that will be more, catchy to the viewers. Thank you.
Yes.
Hard work.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chef Rajshekhar. Over to Dr. Eugene.
Sathya Keerthi,
Yes, sir.
congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
Hats off to you, Sathya Keerthi. You are so brilliant. You are super brilliant.
Thank you,
For
sir.
a boy of your age to talk like this, to have a deep understanding, and then to have such a high spirits is very, very rare.
Thank you, sir.
I really don't know from where you got so much of in-depth understanding about what you're doing and what you're trying to say. Like really, it was mesmerizing, and there was one thing that really, really impressed me when you were mentioning about your website, and then you said you're putting up everything so that others can also do it. That
Yes,
is
sir.
something really, really remarkable. In this competitive world, people try to not talk about it to others. They try to hide it so that they only look at people as competitors. But then you have a very genuine heart of contributing and not competing with anyone, and that's something really, really remarkable and incredible. You
Thank you,
have a
sir.
very good heart, I should say. You want others to know, and you want others to copy whatever they feel like, no matter
Yes, sir.
whether they are going to rise up above than you or not, but you want to educate others. That's a very rare quality which people will have. And
Thank
by
you,
the
sir.
way, how did you get into this? And I know Satya Kirti because you escorted me when I came 2 years back.
Yes, sir.
That in that way I know, but I never knew that you are a very prolific speaker. I didn't
Yes,
know that
thank you,
you are
sir.
such a talented orator. In fact, I must say, it was something out of box. So, how did you get into this complete interest of culinary and restaurant? And now you have a website, and that 18-course menu that you have shown made me speechless. I was
Thank
just
you, sir.
stunned, and I was just I just could not comment a word. After looking at that, very creative it was,
Thank you, sir.
extremely creative, and I'm sure Chef Rajshekhar must have really, really you have tuned yourself to be with your chefs, and they have imparted so much of knowledge, and
Definitely, sir.
uh, you know uh, uh, they have fused in all their experiences and expertise, and they have transferred it to you, and you have grabbed it in the right way.
Thank you, sir.
Good, very good, Satya Kirti. You have a long way to go. And are you trying to get into some Michelin star restaurants for internship?
For my placements, yes, sir. I would love that.
Okay.
I am trying for it.
Right. You please try, you will get it, because two of our students are going to San Francisco. There
Yes,
is a
sir.
restaurant called HPRR. They applied it on their own and they got it.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so it immediately made me think about them. So I thought I will just check with you. But if you have some restaurants already here, I think these menus should be a super hit here. I don't think this menu is available anywhere in any of the restaurants.
No,
I
sir.
think you can make it very big.
Thank you very
Wonderful,
much.
wonderful, Satyakirti. Thanks
Thank,
for taking us. And your research skills are really way ahead than any other researcher. I think you learnt everything from Dr. Lomte. I should
yes, sir.
definitely compliment Dr. Lomte for it. The way he has put up the samplings, his significance, degree of error, and everything is really remarkable. I thought you'll be good at chefing part. You're also extremely good at research part also. So that's
Thank you, sir.
something really good. All the best. All the best, to you, Satyakirti.
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Eugene, I would like to add one more sentence.
Yes,
The
sir.
18 dishes, what he showed here, he made everything personally. And just
Okay.
imagine their parents, I think they have to taste each and every dish. And they are asking me, sir, is this presentation is good? This, that, all so many 18 dishes, procuring ingredients, procuring so many things. Such a pandemic situation, he went out, he
Yes.
purchased parent
Yes.
support, so many. Without that, I don't think so. Such a beautiful presentation he would have done it. But it's an excellent
Really.
job. On his
Excellent.
own, he made whatever available. Okay, you want to make something that is not available, he changed with something else, and that
Okay.
he made it as
Okay.
a that the menu thing. It's a very thing, and
Correct.
he struggled a lot on that. He worked not in
Yes.
once,
Yes.
3 times, 4 times he
Okay.
worked on that.
Oh, wonderful, sir. Much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Now,
you,
now,
chef.
now, last question from my side, Satyakirti.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to be a successful professional in India or in America?
So successful professional with Indian cuisine is what I want to be, no matter where I am.
Okay, very good, very good, very diplomatic answer. Thank you,
Yes.
Satyakirti. So, in future, we would like to see you as an Indian cuisine ambassador somewhere
Yes.
around the globe. Okay, so
Yes.
very,
Thank you, sir.
very nice, very nice. Thank you, Satyakirti. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you best luck for your future. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. So,
Lomte, sir.
yes, yes, sir.